Will on Just Hoop Talk is one of the best podcasts out there if you want to talk that hoop game. If you don't get with these guys and get right, you're going to get left. Big ballers out, baby, and holla.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a special edition trade deadline. Just Hoop Talk here with Justin Henry, Will Thompson. Will, you ready to talk some trades, my man?
Get it, man. This is the best time of the year, dude. Let's get it.
Dude, we got some big names and teams looking to deal, get better before the trade deadline here. But we're going to talk about some of the biggest names, including Andre Drummond, Lonzo Ball. But before we do, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. We have awesome videos always coming out. We have awesome shows, including the Box Out. That's part of the Just Hoop Talk network here. As we are growing and expanding, you will get all the comments, so all the recent content. So make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the little red button down below. Now let's get into it, man, because there's some interesting names and a lot of teams. Obviously, we start talking about the bottom feeders that are looking to sell, the contenders that are looking to buy. What are some of the things you look for when you're looking at these certain players? Like we talking Lonzo Ball or Andre Drummond. What are the things you're looking for? Are you looking to these guys to go to contenders, or is it just the right fit? Like, what's your thought on that all?
Yeah, it's interesting, man, because I don't remember it being like this in years past. Doesn't it seem like there's more sellers now at the trade deadline than there used to be? And we're
even
starting
some
to
of the contenders.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're starting to see more teams sit players out and buy out contracts. We're starting to see a lot of that. I wonder if it's kind of the pushback for the players' control kind of thing. Like players have more saying where they're going, what they're doing.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit of like franchises kind of pushing back against that. Then they'll kick you out in no time, bro. Like,
because we're seeing it, like the players have they've teamed up there and said, hey, you know what, we want to control our own destiny.
Exactly.
But now it's like you mentioned, these teams are like, nah, we see you about to leave and get your contract. We're getting the most for you.
Exactly.
Like the most. Especially when you're talking like Drummond, you see Lonzo Ball, these guys coming up on contract years. Trying to extract max value from these contenders, I think it's a smart move.
Yeah, it's interesting. Even teams that are in playoff positions like the Spurs are moving guys and looking to move guys. I think they actually ended up buying out Demarcus Aldridge.
They did.
It's kind of crazy, man.
Well, when you think about it, like they have to be able to. If you're looking at the Lakers, you're looking at the Nets, you're looking at the Bucks, and you're like, dude, we can't compete with these teams. You almost have to be sellers. You have to get something out of this, especially with older players or players expiring deals. It just makes sense at this time. And I mean, we got a list. Like this is a huge list of players that are really available for a lot of teams and that are like difference makers. Normally the NBA trade deadline, there's like one or two deals. You're like, okay, cool, that shakes it up. But we already had the Harden deal. So you talk about players like Lonzo Ball, man. Lonzo's a interesting player because he's obviously coming up. The Pelicans are like fighting for that 8 to 10 spot. Mm-hmm. And who knows if they'll actually get in. But do you think that Lonzo Ball is actually going to get traded? And if you do, where do you think he's going to get traded?
It's tough because it depends on how highly the Pelicans value him, right? Like, I know they like him as a point guard, but I don't think they're trying to pay him big money at the end of the year. I think they know that, and I think they're looking to make a move. So it depends on what they can get in return, but I'd love to see him go to a contender, someone in that top 5 range in the West. It just depends on what teams are able to give up for him. I have a couple of teams on my list of destinations that I would love to see him. And what I'm really looking at are just places that I feel like need point guards, that need a ball handler, that need a little bit of leadership, because that's what he brings to the table, bro. Like,
underrated too. They always talk about how he's a bust or that he doesn't bring this to the table. Like, he's an elite defender, elite passer. If you don't have Lonzo Ball like as one of your top 15 point guards in the league, it's time to do some self-evaluation, man.
Yeah, you hear that word bust thrown around all the time. Like, this dude has been starting. He's been a starter since he came into the league, not by accident. It's because teams, people that know the game and understand what a point guard is supposed to do, they value that. And so a couple of teams that I'm looking at are the Mavericks, the Warriors, and the Clippers. I like Jalen Brunson in Dallas, but I feel like they need more at that point guard position.
Yeah.
Lonzo's going to give him some size, going to give him some defense. And I think teaming up him with Luka would be magical, man. And then with the Warriors, at times, man, I think if you could take Steph off the ball a little bit and let Lonzo do his thing, I feel like they wish they would have drafted LaMelo.
You
So
pointed that out, bro. They should have just did it.
yeah.
They should have
But
did
now
that
they're taking.
instead,
They
man.
could get. This is their chance to get LaMelo light and get and get Lonzo. And then the Clippers, they've been needing a point guard forever, bro.
Man, I think that's the fit.
Some
I
kind of
think that
consistency at that position, I think, would really bring that team together, man. So those would be really interesting to me. It just depends on what they're willing to give up, you know.
it definitely. I think Lonzo has to go to a team that's high scoring, that's
Yeah,
got assets to give up. My concern with a team like the Warriors that he doesn't bring enough scoring, and I think they're
yeah,
probably going to be looking for somebody who can bring score to the table. But the Clippers to me seem like a really interesting fit because he could bring what Pat Bev brings to the
yeah,
table, but like a little bit more.
definitely.
He could be a little bit bigger size. He's able to switch on
Hmm.
to bigger guards. And I think they have some expiring pieces that probably don't want to be there anymore. You're talking like Lou Will. Lou Will
Yeah,
does not want to be there anymore.
no,
He's not Mr. Lou Will, Lou
he's not at
Buckets,
all.
six man. He's not that no
No,
more. So I think that's a piece like they would probably like to have in New
yeah,
Orleans, an
that'd be a
additional
good fit,
scorer off the bench.
right?
And then plus another one of the bigs. You're talking they got Zubac, they got
Hmm.
Ibaka, and it's like somebody there is not, and a bunch of those vet guys too. You're talking like Nick Batum, Luke
Yeah,
Kennard, just missing pieces,
there's some
and
pieces.
you know they're willing to ship that stuff out.
Yeah,
So to me, the Clippers seem like an ideal fit for Lonzo Ball. And also when you're starting to look at different teams, we had Leo Bees come on and talk about the Sacramento Kings. I think there's
ooh,
no way in hell that happens.
yeah,
But
yeah,
if Kings fans happen to get Lonzo Ball to pair up with another point guard like De'Aaron Fox, to me that's a really intriguing move too because when you know you're going to have to give up a young player, so it's probably going to be like a Halliburton type deal or Harrison Barnes type deal.
yeah.
I don't know. To me, that doesn't really make sense. But if they pair together, I think that's the perfect example of how you want to use Lonzo Ball is with a combo guard or somebody that is a scorer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think, yeah, it's you hear the Kings thrown around a lot, and I don't know if they'd be willing to give up Halliburton, but it's interesting, man. It's definitely interesting.
And they got to sign him too.
Yeah,
Like they're not going to sign him to a max deal or anything like
yeah,
that. Even like the Knicks, like the Knicks were a big
right,
rumor for Lonzo Ball, and it's like the Knicks ain't going to pay Lonzo Ball when they got Julius Randle on the
yeah,
hook. They're going to sign all their little young guys. Like there's no way that Lonzo Ball gets moved unless I think the only way that he gets moved is if he signs an extension. Like they know he wants to stay there.
right. That's true. Yeah,
So
that'll
you
be an
start.
interesting one for sure.
It will, man. You start looking at other players. So obviously the other big name that's being talked about right now as far as being shipped, and the headliner for our show, Andre Drummond.
Hmm.
Andre Drummond is a huge name on the trade block right now. And obviously the Nets and the Lakers are like the two biggest
Definitely.
teams that everybody is talking about. Who you got them going to? You think it's Nets, Lakers, or you think there's somebody else, a different team that might be in the Andre Drummond sweepstakes?
I like him going to one of those two teams because their glaring holes are bigs right now, especially with Anthony Davis being out.
Yeah.
Um, I like, I mean, I think he'll do well in those spots because his role is going to be pretty simple and pretty straightforward. Just run the floor, rebound, and
Right.
occasionally block shots and play some defense. I think he's the kind of guy like if you keep it simple for him and you're not expecting a lot, he can deliver. If you're
Yep.
expecting him to be a main guy, if he's the number 2/3 option on your team, like you're in trouble, you know?
Well, it sucks 'cause I think he might have to be that for that Laker team right now. Like he
Right now.
almost has to be the number 3 option, even with Kuzma. Because when Kuzma's there, I think he's the number 2 scoring option right now,
Yeah.
and I think that they would rely on him to be that number 3 guy when Anthony Davis comes back to number 4. I just don't think it's a
Yeah.
good move for the Lakers. You bring a low IQ player into a high IQ team, it
Right.
normally doesn't work, and there's
Right.
something that gives. And Andre Drummond, for what he is, obviously was a low IQ player on a bad team for Detroit, low IQ bad player for the team in Cleveland. So
Yeah.
we haven't seen anything that suggests it's going to be anything other than that. And I think you take him to a team like the Nets too, where he would just kind of be like the 5th option behind Blake Griffin, James Harden, KD, Kyrie. To me, now he just becomes a rebounder.
Yep.
And it's like, Andre Drummond is going to play his style of play. That's
Yeah.
reckless shots, it's turnovers, it's
Yeah.
a lot of bad passes. Like, that's just what that dude does.
Yeah.
But he brings the defense and rebounding. So at what cost And to me, it seems like the Lakers are probably better equipped to handle that because they have a strong locker room presence with LeBron, with AD, with championship pedigree.
Right. The question is Andre Drummond willing to be Dwight Howard of last year, right? Is he willing to just swallow his pride, come off the bench, be an energy guy, rebound and block shots straight up? Another team I think would be interesting, and it's a team that I feel like is kind of on the rise right now. So there's two. I look at these teams like they're really similar, and that'd be the Blazers and the Heat. Two teams that I felt like ran into Anthony Davis last year, right? Like had no answer for him, had no answer for the size for the Lakers, and are gonna need somebody who can go and rebound, who can bang down low, and be that dude for them. I don't see a lot of it with the Heat. We saw that as a problem with them last year, and the same thing with the Blazers too. So if their teams are looking to upgrade their size a little bit, add some rebounding. I don't know if he necessarily fits as much with the Blazers with their kind of shooting style and the way they like to shoot the ball, but they do run a lot of screen and roll action, so he could kind of fit in that way.
I think those two teams will be tough. You got Nurk and Cantor for the Blazers. Be kind of tough there. And then Bam, I mean, they just traded Myles Leonard, probably for the better. They traded Myles Leonard, and then they got Bam there, so that it would be a good fit, but he would have to play like such a lower role than he's used to.
Exactly, yeah.
But I don't know. I think the Heat would be a dope fit. The Heat, I think they're gonna be. You think the Heat will be buyers or sellers at the deadline?
I think they're buyers. I would love to see them. I think I'm surprised they got rid of Myles Leonard because I feel like they just need a little bit more size, man. They need
that controversy, bro.
Of course. Man. I feel like they need someone to come off the bench and bang. That's what they really needed last year, man. And they had Kelly Olynyk out there playing like he's not that dude. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they need someone. I know Precious Achua is a big. They're a rookie, but he's not a big guy. Like,
well, it's funny because like all the rumors coming out about them are adding another guard. So you talk about even trade pieces like Kyle Lowry and Victor Oladipo. Those are names that have been tied to the Heat, and it's like, to me, it seems kind of strange because it was a glaring weakness for them in the finals. They didn't have a true big outside of Bam, and you saw their depth really take a hit once the injury started happening. Once Jimmy went out, it was like, who's going to be the scorer? He was hurt the whole time. Once Bam went out, it was like, okay, we really don't even have a complementary piece. Tyler Hero had to be that. And so when you already got Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Bam, and you're adding in a Kyle Lowry or a Victor Oladipo, how is that really making you better? Like, I guess you're adding another scorer, but it's almost like you have to take away the growth of Tyler Hero or take away the responsibility 100%. From Jimmy Butler in order to make that happen.
Yeah, Oladipo, I feel like would stunt Tyler Hero's growth. I think, to me, that says they're either giving up on Tyler Hero or they're trying to put him on pause, which I don't think that's a good idea, man. I think just let that kid develop, let him turn into what he could potentially be.
Absolutely.
I don't know about Kyle Lowry. I think that's a good move, man. Because Kyle Lowry, he's a vet. He's been there before. He's the kind of guy who can play his role, distribute the ball, play a little bit of defense, bring that toughness. He's got that toughness and that hustle that Heat players have. But I'm with you, man. I want to see I want to see them include to their depth on the front line.
Yeah, we got a comment from James Gonzalez. He says, "What up, Will?" And then he also says, "I think the Suns as a contender need one more guy for a deep playoff run."
Man.
And the Suns, man, are a team, man. They were really aggressive in going to get CP3 last year, which I think was an awesome move for them. But then at the same time, it's like they have a lot of depth, but they do need another piece.
They do.
If they get really aggressive, they have pieces like when you talk about Cam Payne, you talk about Cam Johnson, Dario Saric, like they can put together a little package and go get another stud to compete with the Nets, the Lakers, the Clippers, the Nuggets, those teams in the West, because they're going to need one more piece, probably a scorer, in order to make that happen.
Yeah, I look at the Suns right now. They're in second place in the West. They're creeping up on first place, which is crazy to think that. Dude. And I think if you're looking at them and you're projecting for the Western Conference Finals, and you got to look at LeBron, and you got to look at how do we match up with LeBron. I know they got Jay Crowder. He's a good defender. He's got some size, but I think they're going to need a little bit of depth at the wing position to bang with LeBron a little bit. And maybe a Harrison Barnes is a guy that they could add, man. Because I know the
That's
Kings would love another young shooter to add to their team. So man, that could be it, man.
That would be a huge fit. If you threw Cam Johnson, I know they may not be wanting to
Yep.
give up on him that early, but if you threw a Cam Johnson, a
Yeah.
nice young wing, that would
Mm-hmm.
be a really good fit on the Kings, and the
I think
Suns
so.
would get that 3-and-D guy that they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, that might be the right fit. And to be honest, Bagley and Barnes trade. Bagley's been
Ooh.
trying to go down there. His dad is down in Arizona right now. His
There it
brother
is.
goes to Arizona State, and the Bagley to Arizona rumor, or Bagley to the Suns rumors, were there last year.
Yep.
So there's interest. A Barnes and Bagley package would probably
Yeah.
net a Dario Saric, Cam Johnson first round pick. Like
Done deal.
that could be the move. Hey, I would sign off on it. Both teams, like.
Sign right there on it, man. Done deal.
Yo, James,
Smith trade.
appreciate the question. That was a
Oh,
really
yeah.
good, good topic, man. The Suns, if they're a team that if they do get a Harrison Barnes type player, and the Kings are obviously looking to kind of sell some pieces right now. We have some Kings fans here on this page, and we can't go this episode without talking about Harrison Barnes, Marvin Bagley, Buddy Hield. Marvin Bagley just got hurt.
Yeah.
But that's going to be an interesting thing for the Kings is, do they fully embrace the rebuild, or do they conform to no tanking? Like, is that really going to be a thing? Because right now they're that team. They're not good enough to make the playoffs, but they're not bad enough to where they should be out. So what kind of team is this Kings team? And do you think they're buyers or sellers at the deadline?
So frustrating because it seems like we have the same conversation every year. They're not at the bottom of the NBA, so they're not getting a top 3 pick. But they're also not in the playoffs. They're not good enough to be in the playoffs. I think they have a good team. I like the core. I like the way the team is built. The West is just tough this year, man. It really is. And to me, they're not there. And I don't see this team as it's built being better next year. Like, personally, I just don't see it. I think Tyrese Halliburton is the guy to build around. I think De'Aaron Fox is a really good piece. So you have 2 good pieces there, and everybody else is movable parts, you know?
Yeah, when you got Buddy Hield, I think obviously he's kind of worn his welcome out here in Sacramento.
Definitely, yeah.
Harrison Barnes is having a career resurgence here.
Yes.
Like, this is what everybody expected him to be.
Mm-hmm.
And now teams want him.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Rashawn Holmes, who's about to be at the end of his contract, who's also been injury plagued, but having a pretty decent season as well.
Yeah.
So it's like the Kings have pieces to move, but are they actually going to make the move? And what kind of pieces do they get back? Are they getting back draft capital? Are they getting back young talent? Like, the Kings have a lot to answer when it comes to what they would be willing to trade. Like, you talk about the Celtics as a team for Harrison Barnes. It's been the rumors. Harrison Barnes is going to the Celtics. You're getting back Romeo Langford and first-round pick and Aaron Nesmith. Like, that doesn't help you right now.
Not really.
To me, that doesn't make sense, like, as even a trade partner. But when you start talking about maybe established rookies like a Cam Johnson to me, that really does make sense. But even with like Rashawn Holmes, you have to pair 2 or 3. The Kings aren't just going to be selling to 5 different teams. Like, you're going to have to make one blockbuster deal. We'll see if they do it. Do you think the Kings are going to make the move, or do you think they're going to stand pat? Because that's the question that all Kings fans want to know is, are we going to make a trade? Like, does the management, does the organization truly believe in who is in the building? Or are they like, nah, like the win tonight, they won tonight, hit a game winner against Washington. It's like, yeah, we're there.
Yep.
But then you go 2 more games and it's going to be a 3-game losing streak. Like, who knows what to do with this team?
It's tough because right now they're destined for that like 11th spot. So they're not going to be in the play-in situation. They're not going to be in the top 10, but they're not going to be at the bottom of the league. So they're not going to be in the top 5 in the draft. So that's a difficult place to be. It's the worst possible place to be, unless you have a team that has potential and can grow into something.
Yeah.
I like the team, but I just don't see it. I don't see it growing
The
anything.
Kings are so weird, man. It's because they're always like in that middle spot. They're just not bad enough to be bad or not good enough to be good. And then it's not like they have bad talent. Like, when you got Harrison Barnes, Buddy Hield, Rashawn Holmes, that's going to make somebody a contender. That's going to make the Phoenix Suns a contender.
Yes.
The Boston Celtics a contender. The Charlotte Hornets a contender. Somebody is going to take on some of those players and contend. And you even think of teams like Orlando Magic. Like, at least they're bad enough to where they're like, okay, we got to start to clean house because this shit isn't working. Like, it's just not working. And so obviously they got Vucci on the block, Nikola Vucevic, and Aaron Gordon is another name that's been asking to get out. You think either of these guys are getting moved?
Uh, it's tough because, like you said, do any of these contenders have anything that they can give back in return that makes sense for these other teams? When I look at Aaron Gordon, I like Aaron Gordon. I like him a lot. He's athletic. He can rebound. He can play multiple positions. He can guard bigger players. I was kind of thinking, who do I have down for? Okay, so Aaron Gordon. I have him potentially going to the Celtics. If they're not able to get Harrison Barnes, who I think is the guy that they want, I think Aaron Gordon is another solid second option for that bigger wing that can defend, that can rebound.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not as good of a shooter, but he brings some athleticism to the table for them. And I think that's what they need, you know?
Yeah, Aaron Gordon to me is a piece that I think he makes a championship team better or a contending team better. Like there's some teams that can give out draft capital, and to be honest, I don't think it takes much to get Aaron Gordon. I think you give up a middle talent and you give up a second pick. Even like we were just talking Kings, like the Kings, that would be a perfect fit for the Kings send some talent to Orlando, get Aaron Gordon as a building block, as the 3-4 that can kind of play. Maybe trade Bagley down there, let Orlando take a chance on him. Like there's going to be a market, I think, for Aaron Gordon, and especially for a team that's like middle of the pack. If there's a team that happens to snag Aaron Gordon, he's the kind of player to me that does have the opportunity to like step into a fourth player role and not have to be a 15-point scorer. Exactly. If you don't need Aaron Gordon to be 15, 7, and 4, like now you have a team, you have a really good piece that can guard the third, fourth best player and lock him up.
Yes.
So Aaron Gordon to me, man, I feel like he'll be a difference maker for somebody, or he could be a good building block for a team that's coming along. And Vuce, I don't think the Magic are trading Vuce, man. As much as the trade rumors are out there, like what do you give up for a guy that's basically like top 3 center in the league?
Yeah. You got to get a lot back for him, and I don't see anyone in that situation looking to give up a lot for him. Going back to Aaron Gordon, I want to know what you think about this. What do you think about him potentially going to the Warriors?
I don't think that's I don't think that changes anything for them. Like you give up Wiggins or you give up Oubre, like you're not giving up Wiseman to get Aaron Gordon. No. I don't think. I think that'd be taking a couple steps backwards.
Yeah.
But like to me that doesn't really help them, and I've heard that rumor like Aaron Gordon going there, like they're trying to get somebody, but it has to be another like big time scorer. Aaron Gordon to me is a piece that if he's the 4th, 5th option, he makes your team that much better. But if he's your 2nd or 3rd option, which if you're trading away Oubre or Wiggins, he probably will be.
Yeah.
To me, that doesn't make sense.
So if you're the Warriors, are you trading for let's see if we can make a playoff run now, or are you trading for when Klay comes back?
I think if you're the Warriors, you've got to trade for now. Like you have to trade because Steph is healthy, Draymond's healthy. You don't have too many healthy years left. And I think if you try to tank, you already tanked last year. You got Wiseman. Like he has to play in meaningful games in order to get better.
Yeah.
So if you're looking like an Oladipo to me seems like the perfect fit there.
Yeah.
But they already have Wiggins who's scoring 20 points and not really providing a lot on the defensive end. So it's like you kind of have the same thing with Depot. Exactly. Yeah. So who do you really go get? Because you have to get Oubre's probably the piece that's gonna go. And you go get Aaron Gordon, does that really change your team? You go get Oladipo, does that really change your team from Oubre? Like that's tough to be a Warriors fan right now because the most glaring need for him is still at center.
Definitely.
And so the move would really be like, hey, Orlando, I know you're trying to give us Aaron Gordon. How do we get Vucevic off you? Would Wiggins, Oubre, Wiseman, a combo of 2 of the 3 actually work?
Yeah.
That's the move you got to make. If you're Golden State has to be thinking like either we need to acquire another piece that's a scorer or we trade Wiseman and get a bona fide center that can help us for this playoff run.
Yeah, I like Wiseman. He showed flashes of being a really good big, but he doesn't look great to me. He looks like if you trade him, they're not going to set the building on fire. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be okay. I think the Warriors, when I look at them, I think they just need depth, man. I think they have a great first line, and then they bring in G League guys off the bench. Nothing against the bench players there, but like it's just that was a strength of the Warriors for a long time, and to me, that's their weaknesses. As soon as Steph is off the court, like who's a scorer on their team? You know what I mean? Like Andrew Wiggins can get buckets, but is a huge fall off from when Steph comes off the court. So they got to get some depth. But I think you're right though. Like the biggest hole for right now this season is at center. And so you never know, man. They could make a play on somebody like LaMarcus Aldridge, who can shoot it a little.
Oh, that'd be a good fit for him too. Just a little bit of
Yeah,
extra size. I like that veteran
yeah,
presence. He might be a little slow for them up and
yeah.
down the
That's the only thing.
floor,
Yep.
but it wouldn't be a bad fit. And it's tough because that team is Steph right now and Steph only. The minute Steph comes off the floor, this is a whole different Warriors
Man.
team. They're back
Yeah.
to being out of the playoffs. And even
Right.
with Steph, they're struggling to make the playoffs right now. So
Yeah.
that'll be an interesting move. Where do you think? I'm going to just rapid fire a few names of you, and I want you to tell me a good destination for
All
him or
right.
why. Kyle Lowry, where you got him going? Do you think he gets moved? Obviously, there's been a lot because he's coming up with the end of his contract too. You think Kyle Lowry is set to be traded, and if so, where?
The Clippers. I want to see him with the Clippers. I think I've said it before. They're a point guard away. They're a leader away. I think he'd be the perfect guy to come in and right that ship. Get those dudes focused with that championship mentality. They need Kyle Lowry.
And if you guys are watching and you have any players that you want us to do some rapid fire on, let us know in the comments. We'll get to them as well. I think Kyle Lowry is a good fit for a playoff team. I wouldn't be surprised if a team like Philly goes out, especially with Embiid going down. If a team like Philly goes out and makes a big move to try to go get Kyle Lowry. I don't know what they're asking for him right now, but it can't be too much. They're also talking about the Miami Heat, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen. But don't be surprised if Philly goes out and gets one more big piece because we know the injury history of this Ben Simmons Embiid team.
Yeah, bro.
And when it gets to playoff time and they're the number one seed, if one of those guys goes out, they've actually proven that they can win those games this year. But against the Nets, the Celtics, the Bucks, that's not going to happen this year in the playoffs. So I think the Philadelphia 76ers are going to be making some kind of move this year because they can't have those guys go down again.
Right.
All right, Buddy Hield. Do you think he gets traded? And if so, where?
Oh man, that is tough. I would like to see
like a good
I would like to
destination.
see him with the Mavs. I like to see him with the Mavs.
Okay.
Adding a little bit of outside shooting. I think they miss Seth Curry. I think they miss Seth Curry big time, man. So they need to add a little bit of shooting. Just someone to balance out the floor with Luka on the other side of the court. I don't know how that still makes sense, but I would like to see him with the Mavs. Add a little bit of shooting for Luka.
I think the Mavs got to be aggressive too because they're at a place where Luka and Porzingis, there's been a lot of talk about like, is Porzingis the right fit for this team? And Porzingis has the opportunity now. They've quieted that down. Mark Cuban was like, nah, we're not trading him.
Right.
So now he has a chance to play. They got Maxi Kleber. They got Tim Hardaway Jr. Jalen Brunson's kind of came on the scene. So it's like these guys are starting to be there. They're starting to gel. Now we need one more piece. So when we get in the playoffs and Luka gets hurt or Porzingis gets hurt, we're not ass out. Like we can make it. And Buddy would be a dope fit there in Dallas.
Feast. He would feast in that situation, man. Double teams on Luka all day long, just chill in the corner.
Another team that has a lot of young assets that may be willing to take that on and is kind of in the playoff picture, but could use another scorer. Well, they already score a lot of points. The New York Knicks. I feel like that team could use a Buddy Hield as well, just another veteran scorer as they go into the playoffs because they have a lot of like point guards. They got Quickly who's developed. They got Derrick Rose who's developed. And then, down low you got Nerlens and Mitchell Robinson kind of playing defense down there. Julius Randle's having a hell of a year, all-star year. And I don't think a Buddy Hield move even slows the development of R.J. Barrett. I think that it enhances it because now it gives them a 20-point score when they're going to need it in the playoffs. If they're going up against some of those heavier teams, and I think Knicks fans really think they have a chance. I could see somebody being moved for Buddy.
I'm just laughing thinking about Buddy Hield playing for Tom Thibodeau, though, bro. Like, that would be wild.
Screaming
dude.
down him, and his buddy's over there pouting, man. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. That's a good fit, though. They could use it. Everybody can use another shooter, man. If you shrink Buddy Hield's responsibilities down, Buddy Hield's responsibilities and his role down to something simple, I think he can be a really great player, man. Like just stand in the corner, come off the screens and just shoot, man. The more you give him the ball, make him create and do kinds of different things, that's where he kind of gets himself in trouble.
He's one of those volume players, though, man. He has to have the ball in his hands because his IQ. I mean, he's not a high IQ player. He's just a volume shooter. And when you take a volume shooter, if he's hitting that 30% clip and you cut his shots in half, it takes a little bit away from him, man. Kevin Love. This isn't a trade candidate, but this is a buyout candidate. Obviously, he's a trade candidate. He's still on the team, but more than likely he's going to get bought out. Where do you think Kevin Love would be a good fit?
I've always said I want to see him in Portland because I think he could be great in the screen and roll.
Isn't he from Portland or something like that?
Yeah, he's from the Northwest. So I've always wanted to see him back there. I've always wanted to see him in the screen and roll. He's still a guy who can step out and shoot a little bit, can roll to the basket, finish around the basket. I just want to see him with a contender, man. It's been so long since we've seen him playing meaningful games and meaningful minutes.
But do you think that he can really, do you honestly think that Kevin Love can come make an impact? Do you think that he will actually make a difference for a contender, or is he like completely washed up in your eyes?
I don't know. I don't know. There's times where he looked good for the Cavs, but there's also times where he looked like he was done. And I don't know if that was just like his mentality. We know he's been going through a lot, like mentally.
Yeah.
And I think it's tough. I mean, that's a tough place to be in Cleveland after LeBron left. And just he got left on an island, and the island was Cleveland, Ohio. You know what I mean? Like I think he was down in the kind of in his feelings in the doldrums of the NBA, and I'd like to see him go somewhere relevant. You know?
Minnesota went from Minnesota to being back in the gutter again.
Dude, yeah.
I think honestly, a good fit would be like the Warriors.
Yes.
The Warriors, I think, would be an interesting fit because now you're getting a player who can play in that fourth role, can just kind of be a rebounder, can help the development of Wiseman. That doesn't take away his role on the team. Like, he can still play the 5. Kevin Love can play the 4. Draymond can now shift up to the 3. You can get rid of Oubre, and now you can put Wiggins at the 2 or the 3. Like, it would be a big lineup in that West, too, and just give you a little bit more of that scoring, because we know if Kevin Love's playing, he could drop 15. Like, we know he can 15 and 8, 15 and 9 if he's playing for something. I just think dude's not playing for anything right now. And I think we'll see something similar like that with Blake Griffin in Brooklyn.
Right.
But to me, Kevin Love to Golden State, like, you wouldn't have to give up much to get him. He would provide, like, it's all upside, because if he stays healthy, I know he just played and got hurt the other day, but if he stays healthy now, that's a 15-point score. That's somebody who knows how LeBron plays. Like, there's a lot of positives there, dude. Yeah. He's played against that Warriors team already, so and he's good. Like, he can shoot, he can play high, he can play low, he can rebound.
Right.
Only thing, obviously, is defense is the question, but the Warriors team ain't stopping a lot of teams right now anyway.
Yeah, he reminds me. It's kind of similar to the role that like Marc Gasol has been playing for a while now with a lot of contenders.
Yeah.
Just using his body, using his size, catching, shooting, setting screens, just keeping it simple, man. Like, there's a spot for that on contenders in this league for sure. So he'll answer.
Agreed. Last player, Victor Oladipo. He is down there in Houston hating life right now. The Rockets are just on an 18-game losing streak right now. He obviously probably was on the Pacers thinking, I'm going to play in the playoffs, and wants nothing to do with that team. Yeah. Where do you think Victor Oladipo goes?
Crazy to see how far this guy fell off, man. Like,
I mean, he was on OKC balling. He was doing well in Indy.
Before he got hurt in the Pacers, he was like looking like he'd be a max contract guy, man. Like, looking like he was going to get paid. And the fall off is real. Another guy too, man, is we got to say Demarcus Cousins, man. That is wild.
Oh my gosh,
that is crazy.
He still hasn't been signed yet, right?
Yeah, no. He's not even on our show, bro. That's how far this dude's fallen. It's completely off the map. A guy who was about to get the max contract here in SAC and got traded and then just
it's crazy to me. Like, is he waiting for the right moment? Because he didn't look bad with Houston. Like, he didn't look bad to me.
Good. Yeah. I thought he looked like a guy who can contribute, can still shoot it, can bang down low. Like, who doesn't need that?
Yeah.
But I don't know what's going on with there. But my bad. Back to Oladipo. Similar situation. Like, a guy who can get buckets at a really high level. But for whatever reason, it just hasn't clicked wherever he's gone since he came back from the injury. So I don't know, man. It depends on what, the role he's willing to play, because he's a scorer, but is he willing to play off the ball is the real question, because he's not going to go somewhere and be the man.
Yeah.
Like, no one's looking to trade for him to be the man there. Can he play off the ball and be a scorer? So if he can do that, I like the Mavs. I think they need more scoring.
Mavs need somebody and they were talking about that over summer. We had talked with a couple of Dallas guys, and that's what they were saying. And I think that's a good fit. Mavs obviously got to make a move. They should be buyers more than sellers. But I think the Heat, I think the Heat
Yeah.
are going to be looking at Oladipo. He's wanted to go there. He's wanted to pair up. They're obviously going to try to get some type of guard. That's with the rumors swirling around. That's normally how things play out. If Oladipo goes to South Beach, I think that team, it doesn't really improve them a whole lot, but maybe gives them a little bit of depth that they were lacking last year.
Yeah.
I also think the Celtics will be making a move. I'm not sure it'll be for Oladipo, unfortunately, but I think that they'll be making a move to get a scorer. So we may see a Oladipo go out there. We may see a Harrison Barnes, a Buddy Hield go out there, but definitely look for the Celtics to be buyers. Overall, you think we're going to get an active trade deadline or what, man?
I think so, man. I think there's guys that have to be moved. There's situations that, like, I think Sacramento was a situation like they don't do anything. People will be upset, man. People will be really upset if they finish 12th in the West and they don't make any moves and it's the same team going into the next year. People are going to be upset, man. So I think there's some teams that are just, they got to make some moves. They got to force their hand a little bit and take some chances.
Well, let us know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Who do you see getting traded? What's the trade you're looking for? Where's Andre Drummond going? That's the big question everybody wants to know, because that's going to determine a lot of who is in this finals and then who is actually winning a championship. We could see Andre Drummond on a championship team. Let us know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any topics that you want us to talk about, let us know in the comments. We're going to have more trade deadline stuff coming your way, especially after the deals get rolling through. Make sure to subscribe and like. Just Hoop Talk, another edition in the books. We're out.
Peace.